You know, there was an era in television where Rod Serling didn't exist, Lucille Ball didn't exist, James Arness, all the westerns, Milton Berle. But this guy was truly one of the foundations of some of the greatest television shows and characters of all time. Helped create what some consider the greatest TV character of all time, Archie Bunker. And he was a legend in so many ways. And as a TV columnist, the only reason why I write about TV because he drew so many people in where weren't in before and created, as what I call the modern sitcom. Of course, the great Norman Lear, producer of All in the Family and countless other shows, has passed away at 101. Lear died at his LA home of natural causes uh, on December 5th. Now, according to CBC, the writer, director, and producer revolutionized primetime television, which sought such topic hilts as the Jeffersons, All in the Family, Maude, and propelled political and social turmoil into the once insulated world of sitcoms, again has passed away. He died Tuesday in his sleep, surrounded by his family at his home in L.A., said Lara Bergtol, a spokesperson for his family. Now, a noted liberal activist with an eye for mainstream entertainment, he fashioned bold and controversial comedies that were embraced by TV sitcom viewers who long have had to watch the evening news to find out what was going on in the world. Now, his shows helped define primetime comedy in the 1970s and after launched the careers of numerous young performers such as Carl Reiner's son Rob Reiner and Valerie Bertinelli, and made Carol O'Connor, B. Arthur, Red Fox, among others, into household name middle-aged superstars. His signature production again was All in the Family, which was immersed in the headlines of the day, while also drawing upon Lear's childhood memories of his tempestuous father. Now, when this first appeared on CBC in the early 1970s, we really didn't know what the hell was going on. We thought that the Carol O'Connor, Archie Bunker character was the center of the show, but we quickly found out it was a what they call a clash between generations. With Mike Stivic coming in and marrying his beautiful daughter Gloria, that's where the shit hit the fan, and it was a lot going on. Now, racism, feminism, and the Vietnam War were flashpoints in the sitcom, featuring blue-collar conservative Archie Bunker, played by O'Connor, and his liberal son-in-law Mike Stivic. Gene Stapleton co-starred as Archie's befuddled but good-hearted wife, Edith, and Sally Struthers played the Bunker's daughter, Gloria, who often clashed with Archie on behalf of her husband. Now, the foursome received several Emmy wins and nominations, and Golden Globe wins and nominations, and probably were the greatest foursome ever in the history of comedy in that section of the 1970s. Now, in the start of the 70s, top rated shows still included old fashioned programs such as Here's Lucy, Ironside, and Gunsmoke, although the industry was beginning to change. CBS, Lear's primary network, would soon enact its rural purge and cancel such standbys as the Beverly Hillbillies and Green Acres, and as well, Pinnacle Junction. They were getting away from this type of what they called rural comedy, where it was all canned laughter. Now, the groundbreaking sitcom, The Mary Tyler Moore Show, about a single career woman in Minneapolis, debuted on CBS in September 1970, just months before All in the Family started. And when these were simulcast on CBC, no one would leave their house when these shows were on. It was that popular. Now, ABC had passed on All in the Family twice, and CBS was initially reluctant to take on the daring series, Lear would say. Now, when the network finally aired All in the Family, it began with a disclaimer. The program you're about to see is All in the Family. It seeks to throw a humorous spotlight on our frailties, prejudices, and concerns. By making them a source of laughter, we hope to show, in a mature fashion, just how absurd they are. Now, by the end of 1971, All in the Family was number one in the ratings, and Archie Bunker was a pop culture fixture, with President Richard Nixon among his fans. The conservatives would watch a show and cheer the way that Archie Bunker was behaving, but the liberals were also watching to see him get his comeuppance, which was really happening every week. Now, some of the put-downs became catchphrases, whether calling his son Meathead, which is a slur, or his wife Dingbat, which is really a slur. He would also snap at anyone who dared occupy his faded orange-yellow wing chair, the centerpiece of the Bunker home in the New York City borough of Queens, and eventually became an artifact in the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History. Now, the show itself was groundbreaking because, to my memory, it's the first time a toilet was ever flushed on American television. It was the first white on black kiss I think, in TV history. I could be wrong. Besides the Rat Pack when Sammy Davis showed up. And a very iconic episode where Tony Geary, Luke of General Hospital fame, is confused by Archie to be gay, and Archie finds out one of his best friends came out to the closet at the same time. Now, even the show's opening segment was innovative. Instead of an off screen theme song, Archie and Edith are seated at the piano in their living room, belting out a nostalgic number. Those were the days. Now, initially, Edith was screeching off key, and Archie crooning such lines as, "Didn't he know welfare state? Girls were girls and men were men." Now, All in the Family was based on a British sitcom Till Death Do Us Part, was the number one rated series for 5 years in a row and earned 4 Emmy Awards as Best Comedy Series. Finally eclipsed by 5/10 winner Frasier in '98. Hits continued for Lear and then partner Bud Yorkin, including Maude and the Jeffersons, which was kind of the black on white racism on its head. Both spin-offs were All in the Family, both the same winning combination of one-liners and social conflict. Of course, the spin-off from Maude was Good Times. Now, in '72, a two-part episode of Maude, the title character played by Bea Arthur became the first on television of her age to have an abortion, drawing a surge of protests along with the show's high ratings. Nixon himself objected to an All in the Family episode about a close friend of Archie who turns out to be gay, which I just mentioned, privately fuming to White House aides that a show glorified same-sex relationship. Controversy suggests people are thinking about something, but there better be a laughing first and foremost, or it's a dog. He said in a '94 interview with the AP. Now, Lear in New York and also created Good Times about a working black family in Chicago. Of course, Jimmy Walker, Dynamite, the key line. Sanford and Son, a showcase for Fox as junkyard dealer Fred Sanford, which was also based on a British sitcom. And of course, One Day at a Time, starring Bonnie Franklin as a single mother and Valerie Bertinelli and the very troubled Mackenzie Phillips, John Phillips' daughter, as her daughters. In the '74 season, Lear and Yorkin produced 5 of the top 10 shows. Around the same time, All in the Family led off one of the TV's greatest evening lineups, a Saturday slate from CBS that also featured the non-Lear hits MASH, The Mary Tyler Moore, The Bob Newhart Show, and Carol Burnett Show. You will never see that ever in history again. Basically, all those shows were top 20, and for some, they're top 10. Now, the late Patty Chayefsky, our leading writer of television's early golden age, once said that Lear took television away from dopey wives and dumb fathers, from the pimps, hookers, hustlers, private eyes, junkies, cowboys, and rustlers that constituted television chaos, and in their place he put in focus the American people. Now, Lear's series reflected his art and political beliefs, which his business success allowed him to express in grand fashion. In 2000, he and a partner bought a copy of the Declaration of Independence for $8.14 million and sent it on a cross-country tour. He founded the non-profit liberal advocacy group People for American Way in 1980 in response to the growing threat of conservative religious groups. In a '92 interview with Commonweal magazine, Lear said he acted because he felt people such as Jerry Falwell and Pat Robertson were abusing religion. And I started to say, "This is not my America. You don't mix politics and religion this way," Lear said. He was also an active donor to Democratic candidates. Now, with his wry smile and impish bowed hat, Lear remained a youthful presence for much of his life and continued creating television well into his 90s, rebooting One Day at a Time for Netflix in 2017, and exploring income inequality for the documentary series American Divided in 2016. He was also featured in 2 documentaries, 2016's Norman Lear, Just Another Version of You, and If You're Not in the Orbit, Eat Breakfast. HBO's 2017 look at active non-Nigerians such as Lear and Rob Reiner's father, Carl. In '84, he was lauded as the innovative writer who brought realism to television when he became one of the first 7 people inducted in the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences Hall of Fame. He later received a National Medal of Arts and was honored at the Kennedy Center. In 2020, he won an Emmy as executive producer of Live in Front of a Studio Audience, All in the Family, and Good Times, which have to be seen to believe, where they take kind of a live audience and kind of throw back into the '70s, like the style. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you a little bit of TV history, which I don't do very often, because Norman Lear in many ways saved CBC. CBC was having trouble with ad revenue. ATV was coming up, not ATV, but CTV was coming up quite heavy, and it was only that Norman Lear shows really kind of saved him a little bit. Now, TV productions again, All in the Family, Sanford and Son, Maude, Good Times, The Jeffersons, Hotel Baltimore, One Day at a Time, Mary Hartman, The Dumplings, All's Fair, The Nancy Walker Show, All That Glitters, Fernwood Tonight, A Year at the Top, America Tonight, Different Strokes, Hanging In, The Baxters, Palmerstown, A.K.A. Pablo, Sunday Dinner, The Powers That Be, 704 Hauser, and of course, Channel Umpty 3. Now, what really stands up me, there was also TV movies as well. But what Norman Lear did for television can never, ever, ever be thanked enough. He had the best actors, the best creators. But I mean, if something would happen in America, we usually show up on Archie Bunker first. But the Jeffersons was more comedic than Archie Bunker. Archie Bunker had a lot of conflict, especially the famous Christmas episode where a draft dodger or someone that will not go to war shows up and basically his best friends is there as well. We lost in the war, and Archie thinks he's going to ask him to leave, but he said, "I want to shake his hand because that's something my son would have did." 40 years ahead of its time. Even these issues in 2023 are still debated. I wonder what Archie Bunker would think of Donald Trump or Joe Biden, like I said, the left wing and right wing cults that are going on now. What would he really think? Because Norman Lear, again, there was a lot of left wing causes, but Norman Lear believed in America. And at 101, to see all the negativity that's been going on in the States. And before we had the Cold War with the Russians, but now we're at relative peace with the world compared to what it was, and we're still fighting. We can't get along. I wonder what Norman Lear would say about that if he was 50 years younger and had to do a series. What exactly would he do? Because I don't think he would pander to anybody but himself. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we go along this life, it's good to know your history. If you've never seen any Norman Lear shows, All in the Family, all the way, like Maude, all the way through Good Times, whatever. Different Strokes was tremendous too. And there's a lot of shows he was behind the scenes producers as well. Try to maybe find like a streaming service or, maybe a compilation to see some of the best episodes, because the original All in the Family, when it went to Archie Bunker's place, it was kind of, when Martin Balsam was brought in, it was kind of quiet down a little bit. It wasn't the same. But I saw Archie Bunker in his prime. Boys, oh boys, oh boys, ladies and gentlemen. It was, put it this way, Carroll O'Connor wasn't the character, but he was the character, and it makes any sense. And Stapleton as well, tremendous. But I mean, like my personal favorite are certain episodes of All in the Family. I think it was just basically, it was too left wing, but that's just me. But but you'll look at the later productions going into WKRP and Cheers and all that. You owe a lot to it because it was an ensemble in a lot of ways. In this case, it was a four-part ensemble, and all the people would go around. And the supporting characters were strong as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing here with our vintage TV podcast, give us a like, comment, subscribe, or share. And don't forget Archie Bunker, Norman Lear, Carroll O'Connor, Gene Stapleton, they're reunited in heaven, boys. I think there's a big chair from all of them. But I know one thing for sure, ladies and gentlemen. He will always be remembered. Another 200 years from now, we'll still be talking about Norman Lear, how he shaped America in the 1970s. Thanks for listening. Bye.